Create a world you can thrive in, not just survive in, right? What does this mean? Curate your media. New data shows that the average American spends about half their day consuming media. That actually becomes your reality. It's what your brain perceives as the world. So curate it, change it so that it feeds you, so that it helps you thrive, to become a better person, not just scare you or anger you or turn you into a consumer. Literally do this in a way that is conscious. It'll change everything.
Speaking of that, did I see in base camp today that you got the porn addiction guy in this week?
Yeah.
Is that right, Doug?
Yeah. That's correct, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Tomorrow, huh?
Yeah, that'll be good.
Oh, that will
Speaking
be.
of which, right?
Yeah, no, it just made me think of that because of where I had no idea where you're going to go with this morning's tip.
So I saw the stat that, how much media people consume when you combine TV, social media, all that stuff. It's crazy. And your brain, your mind doesn't perceive it as, oh, I'm just watching media. This is the world you live in, right? This is what I live in. So if you consume things that enrage you with news around the world all the time that you have no influence over, you can't do anything about, or if you're constantly consuming media that tells you you're not good enough, not attractive enough, it doesn't even have to say that directly, by the way. It could just be pictures or ads of people that you'll never look like, and you'll subconsciously compare yourself
slow drip, man.
And it becomes your reality, and without realizing it, it changes. It's literally the world you live in. Even though it's just on your screen, it's the world that you live in. And the only way to change it is consciously. You have to go in and change the algorithm or turn it off and not consume it, so that your reality is your family, the people around you, your neighborhood. When you walk around your neighborhood, isn't it funny how little, how not enraging it is compared to social media? Like, how many times have you run into people in the real world that you see on social media so often where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe those people are that way, and then you walk around the real world.
Such a distorted view of reality. Yeah,
it's totally wild.
I think the bodies and then the wealth are the two big ones that I just like. Katrina and I made a point of that where we were on the plane and it was like delayed and stuff like that this last week, and we're just talking about we'll sit there and people watch, and it's like, where are all the Instagram bodies? We're in an airport. I'm around at least in that couple hours that you're there, seeing a few thousand people, and it's like, I didn't see one Instagram body.
No.
And the same thing goes for the wealth on the wealth side. I follow all these cool car pages and stuff like that, and it's like all these kids running around with freaking Lamborghinis and Ferraris. So I'm like, where are they all at? You only see them.
And how many of those are even real? They're not rented.
Yeah. Did I tell you guys that? I don't know if I brought this up on the podcast before. I didn't even know this was a thing. I guess down in Orange County, LA area, it's popular for 4 dudes to go in on.
You did bring this up.
Okay, I did. Yeah, it's like
they'll go in on a lease for a nice, a super expensive car.
Yeah.
And so they could use
all
it
together.
Yeah, and use it on social media, right? So, and you see those two stand out the most to me. I'm sure there's other examples, but
for me, it's the rage. I very easily get caught up on getting mad at crazy people doing terrible things, stuff like that. Then you go around in the neighborhood, you go to the grocery store, you talk to people. It's like everybody's nice. And we live in an extreme on the political spectrum.
Yeah, we live in the least nice area.
Well, right. If you look at,
but yet it's not that crazy.
No, people are nice. You say hi to people on the street or the grocery store. You might have one encounter here and there, but it's not like social media.
No.
And again, it's when you consume all of that, your brain, your body, your mind has no idea that that's not the actual world you live in. Well, it is the world you live in, right? Because that's what you're living in, and it changes everything. This is why the whole argument for the quote unquote wealth gap becomes this big thing. People are so mad when in reality, poor, middle, upper, everybody's doing better than they were 100 years, way better than they were 100 years ago. But we're so aware of what everybody else has that we look at what we have and it's like, that's not fair. That's not fair at all. When in reality, it's like we're doing way better off than we ever have. It's really weird. It's really wild because when you turn it off, how do you guys feel? Have you guys done this before where you turn it off for a couple of days? Just not on your phone.
Yeah.
Or, it's so different.
Yeah.
Better.
It's just one of those things you don't realize it became, because we're just creatures of habit to where it's like it sneaks in there, it becomes ritual for you to just kind of take a look and see. And you're taking that in constantly. And again, because it's so sophisticated now that it shows your watch time and how much you pay attention to certain types of posts. And like, so I'll get pulled into some like angry posts and some people, like in conflict. Like, so that one gets me sometimes, and I have to check myself and start unfollowing pages. But you really have to be proactively, consciously looking at what you're consuming. Otherwise, it's just going to just get in there.
Do you guys think it's because it's still relatively new? Like that we haven't seen enough of the fallout and all the negatives. Like that research is just really starting to surface now. And even that isn't like, I wouldn't say well known, right? Like the average person, or definitely not the average kid, is communicating that. Like, do you think that we just need time for enough of the negative research to come out about what it does to you to be stuck on their phone and addicted, and then we'll have a healthier balance? Or do you think it's so addictive that it's like giving all these people drugs, and it doesn't, like, trying to get off is?
I would say both. I think what's interesting
by the time they get that information, they're already hooked. You know, it's like, it's always way behind.
Well, here's where I embrace the rebellious nature of teenagers, because teenagers rebellious by nature, right? Where evolutionary experts would say this is when we're supposed to leave and try to just, go out into the world type of deal. So it's this rebellious nature. Well, teenagers tend to rebel with what's normal.
Right.
And so what you're seeing with this younger generation is this like embracing like these brick phones and not being on social media and, trying to be, because it's different. It's different from the previous generations where we're stuck on media all the time. So that's a good thing. I hope that grows.
Yeah, I knew like this kind of reaction, because you see it just go from one end to the other all the time. But like, it's because of all the censorship and you can't say this, you can't say that, and like this oppressive kind of move to scrub all like speech and make sure it's like a very certain way. You're already seeing the next generations coming up, like into college or from high school, like completely rejecting like insane, like, crazy stuff. You see like the roast of Tom Brady.
That's what Doug was saying to me this week. I didn't watch it, but that's exactly what he said when we got the plane, is where you're going right now. He's like, they went over the top.
No, I see it. I see it with the junior high kind of kids, and like they're experimenting with these jokes that are like insulting jokes, and they're coming at your race,
racist, sexist, everything.
Yeah, like you being mentally
because
challenged,
told
like
so hard that you can't.
Yes, because you can't, and it's just human nature. That's what's so frustrating, is like it's the same oppression that like way back in the day they felt like from the religious right coming in and like trying to remove that from school and from because it's like they wanted this separation of this like authoritarian, like over oppressive force, and it's like they're doing the same exact thing. It's just from a different angle.
It's wild because like this morning I'm in the gym. And I go to it's a commercial gym, but it's probably more geared towards, more hardcore fitness. It's a UFC gym, so it's not like a 24-hour fitness or a Planet Fitness, right? And even in there, I'm in there working out. I mean, how many people do you guys think in there has 6-pack abs and look crazy shredded?
Yeah.
Like nobody, one person in the whole gym working out. And this is a gym. Yeah. It's already
probably one. Yeah.
There's already a self-selection bias of people that work out. That looks way different than social media. You go on social media and your brain doesn't know that everybody doesn't look photoshopped. It has no idea that everybody doesn't look perfect. Wow. It'd be like growing up in the NFL. Could you imagine if your world was the NFL and you're as big as you are, Adam? You'd be like, I'm the tiniest, smallest, weakest, slowest person in the world, because you're surrounded by these, these
I'm
giants.
pretty sure I'm stronger than a few punters, Sal. Probably a few punters out there.
Probably. How'd you feel about that?
Yeah.
Probably not.
He's like, hey, how'd you feel?
So
You'd be the weakest, strongest,
weak.
The weakest.
Fragile.
You know what I mean? All right, today's giveaway on YouTube is the Super Bundle. Here's how you can enter to win. Leave a comment below this video in the first 24 hours that we drop it. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. If you win, we'll let you know in the comment section. Also, brand new program we're launching right now, MAPS Muscle Mommy. This program is dedicated and designed for women who want to sculpt their body, who want to build muscle, who want to be strong, who want to have a faster metabolism. This program comes with a workout. It comes with lifestyle hacks. There's advice in there specifically for women. You're going to love this program. And right now, because it's a brand new program, it's $80 off and you'll get 2 free ebooks. All right. So this is what you got to do if you want to sign up. Go to mapsmusclemommy.com, use the code MM80, get the discount and the 2 free ebooks. All right, here comes the show. It's wild. Here, look, I'll give you an example of how much media lies to you, right? So what does the media say? I just got these stats today. I thought it was crazy. What does the media tend to portray to men about getting married? So you're a man, you get married. What happens when you get married?
Ball and chain. Your life is over.
Life is over. No sex.
Yeah.
It sucks. You're stuck with one person. It's this burden.
Hang out in the bathroom for an hour.
Yeah,
now.
Totally sucks, right?
There's some truth to that, though.
What? No, the bathroom part. Hey,
That's your sanctuary.
There's a little bit of truth to that.
Listen to me.
There's a little bit of truth to that.
Single men do that too.
Yeah.
It's just guys.
Yeah.
But anyway, I looked up some stats. Here's how opposite of that message reality is. This is how opposite it is.
I already know one of them that's way off. The
Well,
sex one is way off.
Well, I got all of them off.
Okay.
Married men earn 20% more than single men. In fact, there's twin studies that show that the twin that's married makes between 18 to 26% more than the person that's unmarried. Now, let's stop there for because I'm going to go through all these. Let's stop there for a second. Why would that be the case? Why would married men make more money than unmarried men?
Because the motivation to provide.
Yeah.
And it's by the way, it's built in you. Whether you think
Yes.
you got it or not, every
I would assume
father,
they're more loyal too.
every father I've ever spoken to, and this one hit home for me because I remember this was a fear, right? An insecurity of mine was, oh man, I gotta have all my stuff together before I have a kid. And everybody would tell me like, oh, just wait. You think you are pushing and driving, and right now you find a whole new gear when you have a child. And it was so true. It was like there's just this whole nother level to you that you find wherever you currently think you run at, like you can run at another level.
By the way, the stats on men making this much money, women making this much money, it's married men they look at. Single men don't make more. Single women make more than single men. Do you know that?
Do they think the factor there too is that like single men kind of jump from one job to the next and kind of keep trying?
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
It's more like what Adam said. When you're a married man,
Listen, there's also a little bit of a skewed bias though too of like a lot of people probably did what I did too, was wait until you're very established.
No, these are controlled.
It's controlled for that?
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, 25-year-old married man versus 25-year-old married man.
Okay, that's
35 versus 35.
That's actually really interesting.
And think about it. You guys know this. As a single guy, like a single guy, like you're going to make money, but you're like, you're not going to really go out there and you don't have kids and a wife and a house that you really need to take care of, especially children, especially when you have kids. Like that's a big one.
Yeah.
Here's another one. They have more sex. 51% of married men would say that they're very happy with their sex life versus 34% of single men. The media would tell you the opposite. Yeah. They would say you get married and sex is terrible.
Well, they say there's that. There used to be this old the marble,
because it's not weird.
The marble thing, sex. Right? Like if you you're dating like your future wife, and you were to actually put a marble in the jar for every time you guys had sex before marriage. So let's say you guys were dating for 2-3 years before, that you'll never empty that jar after being married.
Oh, if you like, and you pull
then
one out.
You pull one out
married,
for a time. That's so not true.
No.
So not true.
No, totally false, right? Yeah. Here's another one. Married men live 10 years longer than unmarried men. And here's another one. Yes. And if you have sick unmarried men versus sick single men, they do even better. So 10 years is a lot. That's a whole decade longer. Married men, 43% of them say they're very happy with life versus 20% of single men. So it's not just a little wrong. It's actually the opposite of what we're told. So young men listening right now, if they didn't hear those, that's our real data. Look it up. If they didn't hear me say that, and I were to ask, young men, like, what do you think?
No, the portrayal would be married with children. It'd be the Al Bundys.
The money one's really interesting. Although I get it because I went through that process and I explained like, wow, you do feel like a whole other gear. But that one's really surprising because you would think that's probably a lot of young men that don't get married is just like.
Here's an interesting one for you, Adam, because you were extremely driven. All of us were, but you were very extremely driven single as well.
Yeah.
Yet you made the most amount of money after you got with Katrina and had your son.
Yeah. I wonder
how interesting is that?
It is interesting. And like if you were
it's not like you didn't bust your ass before.
Yeah, no, I worked harder before, I think maybe what comes with it is clarity and purpose. Right?
That's a good one.
And when I'm single and like it's like more selfish desires, just trying to figure out what do I want. It's like, I don't know, maybe you're more aloof and then all of a sudden having a kid becomes like, oh, there's my purpose. Like I have to like providing for this family, setting them up for if and when I were to die. Like, and so, it's very clear. It's very clear now when I make these decisions that I factor that into the equation where that was never a part of the equation. And so maybe that has something to do with it. Yeah. Like
it's interesting to me because in the past, the way that men would like brag to each other was if they were married and how many kids they had. This is how it used to be in pretty much every culture up until modernity, where men would get, hey, what's your name? Oh, I'm, John. Are you? Yes, married with 5 kids. Wow, that's amazing. What about you? Embarrassed to say I don't have a wife or kids. Oh, that's shame on you. Type of deal.
Yeah.
It's weird how the media has twisted it and switched it completely. Yeah. And you got to ask yourself why. Why is it that we think that single men are happier, make more money, live longer, healthier? Why do we think that? And I think it's just because the market wants single men because they're easier to pull around and get them to consume a bunch of bullshit. When you're married, it's like you don't go spend, like you said, you're not as selfish. With
You're way more frivolous when you're single,
and you're harder to manipulate. Yeah. Like you can't when you have kids to take care of. Like you're not as easy to manipulate as when you're a single dude. That a sexy picture or something else is going to just get you to do what you want.
Quite as impulsive, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah. It's a lot of those I was not aware of. Some of them I were aware of, but not all of those. And it is.
But basically every metric that you can measure. Being a married man is better than being a single man.
Now, tying that back to the way you open this up, do you think that, that's part of like this, I don't know, I would say, where do you think that started? 80s? Would you say it started 80s or 90s? And do you think that 80s. The new generation will kind of rebel against that it will be cool to be a father again?
Let me ask you guys this. If there was no media, let's just imagine there was no media whatsoever, and just think of all the men you know in your life.
Yeah.
Would you look at all the single guys in your life or the married men in your life and say, wow, I think I kind of want that. Think about that. You probably wouldn't look at your single
most of the
buddies.
men I look up to, yeah.
You wouldn't be looking at your single buddies and be like, yeah, I want to live like that.
Well established.
I don't want to do that. That doesn't look that good.
Yeah. Well, especially now, right? Because we're in our 40s.
Especially
we're in our 40s now. So if my single buddies that are still single right now, it's like, yeah.
Not so great.
Yeah, not so great at all. I'm not envious of that at all.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. Yeah. Anyway, I was going through studies over the weekend, and I read something pretty crazy about, just to take a different turn here, on sleep's effect on your chance of getting injured. I didn't realize that. I know that the studies show probably one of the most consistent ways you can increase your risk of injury is just getting bad sleep.
Yeah.
I pulled up a study. Justin, you'll love this. 7 hours a night or less of sleep. So 7 isn't even that bad, but 7 or less a night for about 14 days, okay, in a row, almost doubles your risk of injury, regardless. Regardless of what you're doing.
So do you think—
And that's, 7's a good amount.
That doesn't sound that bad.
Not bad.
I know most parents get
there's like 6 or 5. I know a lot of people that run on 6 and 5.
Yeah, dude.
So what do you think the reason? Obviously, the sleep, it plays a major role in how well rested, how much your muscles recover from
regenerating the tissue.
So do you think it's because let's say I'm at poor sleep for a week and I play basketball, is that I'm not giving myself adequate recovery, and so then when I go out to perform, my muscles aren't fully recovered, and then I go to push and ask of it to do something, and then that's where a tear or strain is.
I thought a lot about this.
Like how do you think?
I thought a lot about this, and I thought because I'm like, is it the lack of recovery? Because that's got to play a role, so it's got to be that too. But I think it's more
cognitive ability as well, like in terms of like your action, movement, like command.
Yeah, I think it's more CNS because like when we warm someone up or we do prime them. What are we priming? We're not really priming their muscles. We're priming their
movement,
their CNS. And your central nervous system is really heavily affected first before anything else shows up in the body,
right?
From lack of sleep. So I think it's that, right? I think it's your CNS, how it fires and bolsters and stabilizes. And so if it's off a little bit, you go do a movement that you think you can do.
You're either going to overreact or underreact,
Yeah.
and it's going to be off. So I mean, that does kind of make a lot of sense.
But that's a big. That's almost twice the risk.
I mean, it's probably
From just that.
It's probably
That's crazy.
twice because it's actually all the things, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
It's
Right.
probably
Yeah,
you're not
nothing will affect you negatively like poor sleep.
Yeah, it's-
Like across the board, type of deal.
It's such an unsexy thing to work on.
No.
You know what I'm saying? It's not marketable. It's like it's not cool.
Totally.
So it's like it's such a and I always think like back to like when we have this acquired knowledge over years of doing what we do. That if I were to go back in time and tell my 20-year-old self, like, does he listen? Like, even if I have all the studies to support what you're saying right now, and smart Sal is sitting down talking to young dumb Sal,
No, he doesn't, bro. I didn't listen to.
So young dumb Sal, I know. I don't think I listen still, and it's terrible. There's a kid right now listening to us. He's
like,
not going to
that's-
listen.
Yeah, that's no. What's the supplement? Come
You've
on.
been able to convince. I love sleep, so yeah, sure, okay, that's all I gotta do.
Well, it's funny.
All in.
Of all of our partners that we work with, the ones that, because we work with companies that sell supplements and products, and the ones that'll probably have the biggest, I don't say probably, will almost surely have the biggest positive impact on fat loss, muscle building, injury, cognitive function, like you name it, hormones, are the products that improve people's sleep.
Yeah, like 8 sleep.
Eight sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 8 sleep that's a great example, Adam, because here you have an AI essentially
Take control
changing
of
the
your
temperature of and it's changing the temperature of the bed, and it's identifying your sleep patterns, and it's improving your sleep in real time. I can't think of a supplement or a product or anything else that would give you more bang for your buck than something that improves your sleep.
Yeah, especially if you even got you just 1 hour of deep sleep.
That's it.
Extra.
Yes.
Right? Like that would just impact you so substantially.
Huge.
greater.
Do you know what? I didn't even think to ask you this. I don't know if Sal, you've even looked into it, or maybe Doug, because a lot of our companies that we work with, do their own studies and stuff like that. I bet they've got great stuff. Does 8 Sleep actually have a section
They must,
where they have research? Because it would be so cool to have like a control group that use that for say a 3-month period, and then someone who doesn't, and then and because they have all the scoring and all this stuff like that, like there's got to be some really cool research.
There's some that's scary too. They've done brain imaging on people who are chronically deprived, like people with insomnia, and their brains, if they didn't know any better, they'd look at their brains like, oh, you have dementia.
Wow.
That's how bad. That's how bad it affects the body.
It'll make you go crazy, right?
Oh yeah. You can induce psychosis in most people in a very short period of time if you just kept them up the whole time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, dude. That's how bad.
messed up.
Well, think about it this way. I've said this before on the show. If there was a way for evolution to figure out a way for us not to sleep, it would have, right? Because you're unconscious, you're not gathering food, you're not building shelter, you're not doing anything. You're super vulnerable.
Yeah.
Every organism on Earth that we know of sleeps in some way, shape, or form. So
It's not advantageous for us to just be just there completely.
It would have figured it out.
I'm reminded of this. We had our first like heat wave come through, right? This weekend was super hot and stuff like that, or not super hot, but very, very warm, enough to where I'm running the AC in my house. And what I want to do is actually track the difference of the degrees that I can keep my house at now that I have the 8 Sleep, because
Oh, right.
before we had the bed cooling system, the temperature has to be like between 65 and 67 in the house for me to sleep through the night, like have my best night's sleep, right? It has to be around that temperature. I can keep it up at 71 because the 8 Sleep.
Wow.
So I don't know what the difference of managing a house 4 to 5 degrees higher or lower does as far as like the electricity bill, but you got to think that that's going to, over the course of a whole summer multiplied by multiple years, that's got to save me.
Adding up.
Yeah, that's got to save me quite a bit of money.
Yeah, instead of cooling your whole house, just your bed.
Yeah. And I sleep amazing with that thing.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of the weekend, how was the Mother's Day? What did you guys do for the wives? And it's a good time or what?
So Katrina's family, they're very consistent with both Mother's Day and Father's Day. On Mother's Day, obviously moms don't have to do anything. All the guys get together and, plan what we're eating and take care of the prep and the cleanup and,
Nice.
basically kind of serve them. So we went over to Katrina's mom's house, and they wanted me to host it. And I was like, because we were flying in from Michigan, Doug, me, and Katrina the day before. And I'm like, I don't know how burnt. That 5-hour flight there, 5-hour flight back, 24-hour trip, 3-hour time change. So I opted out to hosting, but we went over to Tina's and did that and had a beautiful time.
That's nice.
Yeah, really good. Were you guys with family?
No, we did. So I had one of our editors edit a video for me for Jessica with the kids saying,
oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't get to see it. I wanted to see it.
I'll show you guys. I
can't believe you didn't show us before we started.
I'll like video like my 3-year-old and ask him
who
questions.
did it, Dylan?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'll interview the kids and I'll be like, what's Mama's favorite color? What does she say to you before bed? Whatever.
I'm so gonna steal that idea.
I got my 1-year-old to say things like "Mama" and stuff like that, and then I got my teenagers to say something nice about. So it was this nice edited video, and I gave it to her. It's funny, I got more emotional than she did. I watched it a couple times, and I'm like, oh, yeah. And then I bought her, and my wife wanted this, so I know people are gonna be like, what, she wanted a hip thrust machine for the garage, so I actually bought.
Oh God, Katrina's gonna be jealous. That's what she wants.
Yeah, so I got one. I got to put it together still. So we did that, and then what we did is the day of, go to church. And we were going to go to the beach, and taking 2 little kids all the way to the beach. It was a warm day.
Yeah,
it was after church, so it would have been like at 11. I'm like, we're going to be in here for 2 hours on the freeway, not worth it. So I'm like, what if we got like cheap little fill up plastic pool and little lawn chairs and did it in the front yard. And you and I had mimosas. And she's like, let's do that. So we stayed out in the front yard, had mimosas, and the babies were out there.
Loved it, I bet.
Oh, it was great. A blast, dude.
I think the single best investment, and I was actually surprised what I paid for this because it was not that expensive. I thought those giant blow up, jumpy house water slide ones are really expensive. But I found one at, I want to say it was Home Depot 2 years ago. For really inexpensive. I mean, it cost you like $100, $200 to rent. I think I paid like $450, I think, for this. I mean, huge one too. And there's cheaper ones than that if you want to save money. This is a big old one you climb up on, slide down into a pool of water, and it's got sprinkler thing coming on it. So it's like spraying. And that is by far one of the best investments. As soon as it gets hot enough, like it was this weekend.
So what do? You just deflate it, fold it up, put it in the garage?
It has a giant duffel bag. I keep it in my storage unit around the corner. But yeah, it has one, it's got the motorized, it's so easy. You literally unfold it, tie it.
Now, do you fill it with water or do you plug a hose in and then it sprays?
So it does both. So I put a little bit of water in to get started, but then it has a hose that you attach, and then it has these like, sprinkler things that are like spraying on the slide, keep the slide wet. So
can you fit on it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
maybe I'll get one.
Oh yeah, I slide down and everything. That's what I mean. It's like, it's cool. And Max and I have I open up the hot tub too, so like he can go through the cold water and jump in the hot tub and come out. I mean,
that's fun.
But I mean, he's out in the sun for 5 hours. I mean,
dude,
wears them out.
I was just gonna say. So last night, my daughter, we normally put her bed at 7, 6:30. She's acting crazy. I'm like, she needs to go to bed already. My son, who normally wakes up at the butt crack of dawn, no matter what, slept in all morning. It was because we were out in the sun all day.
I mean, I think
they slept so good.
Well, isn't that a testament though of how much they're deprived of that today?
Yes.
Versus it just every time I go, man, we have to make a conscious effort to getting these kids back up there because they do. They just they sleep way better.
Hard.
Yeah, they go down. Quick, easy, hard, and sleep through the night.
Did you guys see the Northern Lights at all?
No.
Did you go so Courtney, I guess it was like 2 a.m. to 5. They said that we were supposed to see them like in our area, and so we set an alarm. It was annoying about that is like I kept anticipating it like the whole time, so I didn't get sleep.
Oh my god!
Because like just excited all night.
She's just like, I'll wake up and I'll go see if it's there. And of course they weren't there. And we have the worst luck with the Northern Lights thing, dude. I told you when we went to Iceland and everything.
Oh yeah.
We made it. A bunch of attempts and like alarms and everything to do like middle of the night, and we just couldn't see him. But so I did this weekend. I did the move, the John Deloney move, where you ask like, okay, what is your like whole vision of this day? Like, if you had the day, like I want to know in the morning what happens.
How do you see it playing out?
How it plays out, because it was completely different than what I had planned. And so I just like scrapped my whole plan.
Isn't that powerful?
Yeah, for Sunday to do something for her. But it was like we were gonna go to the Pinnacles. I'm like, oh, you've always wanted to go, and like I was like rallying the kids. I'm like, we're gonna have to get up early, you guys. Like, this is gonna suck. This is for mom, we're gonna do this for mom. And I'm like, gonna pack the lunch, and we're gonna do the thing. And she was just like, no, she wanted like everything like just to get up when she got up, like make her coffee and hang out. We had this whole thing of like just a laundry list of like things she loves, and so we just did all those things. And then
that's
I
cool.
like took over for the cooking, the cleaning, and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, this is so much easier.
I'm so glad you asked.
Yeah,
right?
than everything else I had planned. So it actually worked out pretty well. But I mean, I was like, I was pretty out of it still because I had like all this dentist work done on Thursday that just carried through the whole weekend. I was just kind of like, blah, like just kind of out of it on pain meds.
What happened? So what did they have to do? Just a bunch of, you crack your teeth again?
Bro.
Yes. So I've had
Give them the numbers, dude. How many?
6. So I had 6 crowns with
Root canal, bro. 6 crowns, root canal. What else?
Root canal, and they drained this like huge abscess.
But what are you just breaking your, like, what are you doing? You're just crushing your teeth down? Is that what's happening?
So it's up in the air. He doesn't even know. Like, he's like, I can't believe it, that they're in the state now when I went to go see him, and he's like, we got to take care of this. And because I cracked one, like the back tooth, I cracked it in half. And so he's like, you got one of the strongest bites. Like, he was always like,
you're so angry. We got to hug you or something.
I don't even like, I'm not like holding it in, I don't think, but I think I process a lot of my stress in the middle of the night and I can't do anything about it.
Wow.
And so
he's
between
like,
that,
fucking
guys,
Sal,
those guys,
they won't stop talking.
yeah. And then the acid reflux I've been fighting my whole life. Like, it has not been helpful with my enamel.
Have you noticed if like the difference with and without weed to do that? Like, I would think that because no dreams calms you down, that doesn't help. It doesn't help, or do you know if it helps? Or
I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
interesting to see if you really tried to measure that and pay attention to. I would think
what about a mouth guard or something?
Yeah, I wear every night.
Yeah, he's already got one.
And you're still breaking
Bro,
shit?
he's chewed through a mouth guard.
Yeah.
Wait,
I go through those a few months.
What do you mean? You take it out of your mouth and you bit through
There's
it?
holes in it. Yeah.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
I am going to get you a body pillow. We talked about that earlier. That might help.
Yeah.
If you're hugging a big,
Maybe I just need a little more.
Oh man.
Tenderness.
Back to your Courtney, asking her thing. I love, and it reminds me of like, probably one of the things that make you a really good trainer, right? Both you guys is your ability to give like real basic cues that are like so simplistic, or basic hacks to like eat protein first, just do that. Like those little like small hackable things in life are like, that's what makes a great trainer. I feel like when I think of the same thing, when I think of like John Deloney's, like I love when we have like really, really awesome guests and they give you something that's just so small and easy to apply and test and measure and like,
but it's super impactful.
Oh yeah. We did that like the next day. I think I practiced that with Katrina, and I don't know how many times now we've already done that since that interview, which was just a couple weeks ago. And it makes a world of a difference. There's been already a couple of those times where we're like, oh wow, we're on different pages here.
You don't even realize it.
Yeah.
If you had not asked,
and I wouldn't have thought it was needed to be an ask, but boy, I'm so glad I did, because now I see based off of what you were thinking it was gonna look like, and what I was thinking, like that was like a fight waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Because and all purely out of just lack of communication, just because one person expected something and the other one expected something totally different. And it's such a small thing to do.
You just ask.
Yeah.
It's just, hey, what does your ideal day look like tomorrow?
Yeah.
That's so weird that it's so different from what you thought too. And not weird. I guess that's obvious. It's wild.
It
if
is.
You don't ask, you'd never know.
And I think that it's and I don't think you can overly practice it. I think the more there's no rules to like what says you can't do that every day. But I mean, definitely when you have a holiday, going to family's house, planning a trip. I mean, you're doing anything like that. And we've just now trained ourselves. So like, hey, let's just ask each other.
I used to just construct that myself. And then I'd go over the top, because I always thought I had to go like, do something substantial for her to like really feel like she got acknowledged, and it's just like, no, just all these very simple things that
And she was probably
loves.
so happy.
Yeah.
Way-
And you're
way
like, oh,
better.
this is way easy to execute.
Dude, I was like, I literally, bro, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be doing such crazy stuff.
Speaking of gifts that moms tend to get, have you guys heard of a vampire facial? Have you guys heard of these?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is where they take the microneedles and they inject blood-rich platelets or whatever I think it is. Or
Didn't you just do that recently?
Not that.
Not that one.
No.
I got it.
It's PR like PRP.
Oh,
maybe.
that's it. That's it. PRP. Sorry.
Yeah.
Platelet rich.
Yeah, platelet rich. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I got to bring this up. I just read.
You did one or what?
No, I did not. But this article comes up that my sister shared, and there was an unlicensed spa in New Mexico. This is in the U.S. Okay, a bunch of people got this vampire facial, and they all got HIV. Yeah. So they did an investigation because people got HIV and they're not living risky lives. They're not doing it. Like, how did I get HIV? And they're like, well, I got these vampire facials. So authorities went and investigated, and they
Sharing
found at the
needles?
spa. This is what they found at the spa: a kitchen counter, a centrifuge, a heating dry bath, and a rack of unlabeled tubes containing blood. In a refrigerator, unlabeled tubes of blood and medical injectables, including Botox and lidocaine, stored along with food. Unwrapped syringes in drawers, on counters, and discarded in regular trash cans. No autoclave for steam sterilizations. Oh my God. Yes, dude. Like a bunch of shit that they found.
Oh my God.
So it was 4 people who got
my God.
HIV from this PRP microneedling. Dude, how mad would you be?
Yeah.
That's
Dude.
crazy.
That is crazy.
That's crazy.
Don't you feel?
I didn't
feel
know
like,
you could do that without, like, how did they get away with that? Right?
Well, they didn't. Obviously, they're caught up now and busted. I'm sure they're gonna get
that's-
sued. Like
that's gotta be jail.
I mean, yeah, that's
Well,
like
yeah.
huge
Getting people
lawsuit.
medical malpractice.
Yeah, the VIP owner or the spa owner pled guilty for practicing medicine without a license, and she's like 3.5 years in prison.
Yeah, see?
That's it.
Yeah,
mean,
I know.
that's-
You should be. I would think it'd be.
I mean, it wasn't intentional, so that's probably why. Like, there's a difference between intentional and unintentional. But how crazy is that? My
So
sister sent
where-
it to me, and she's like, "Dude, people got HIV
So where were they getting the blood? Like it was contaminated.
either contaminated or from other people. I don't know.
What the heck?
That is.
I mean, it sounds like all it would take is one person who had HIV already that went there, and then they used that blood, and it sounds like they have
right.
unlabeled
Okay.
blood inside the refrigerator. It's just like, oh, grab that one. Grab the one next to the mustard. We'll use the-
Use needles.
Well,
dude.
normally with PRP, they take your blood, they
That's
put it
right.
in a centrifuge,
That's
they
right.
take it out, and then they inject that.
That's right.
So maybe just the
So this
unclean
is
needles,
clean
or
early.
unclean centrifuge
something.
or something like that. Wow. I know, right?
Oh my goodness, that's crazy.
I hope they got a refund.
Oh
Jeez.
my goodness.
Can't trust those
Hey,
vampires.
I have an announcement for us. So new partnership alert, and this one's really interesting because
Song.
for the longest time, we've talked about all the benefits of like barefoot training and things like that,
Yeah.
and obviously because we talk about that, you always get people that are sending us like, check out my 5-finger shoes and all this stuff. And I've been teasing about those shoes like that for a long time, that like you will not catch me wearing a pair of those shoes ever. I don't care how healthy and how good it is for my feet. But I do recognize and appreciate the value of, like shoes that are minimalist.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so,
Especially for lifting.
I've always loved minimalists. Yeah.
so I got introduced to a brand. One of my friends who's a trainer, she had seen that like we were talking about it one time, and she's like, "Hey, I know the founders of Xero Shoes, and they're big fans of the show. I would love to just send you some." And so she didn't do anything other than that. And so we got boxes of shoes sent over this way about a month or two ago. Everybody got their pairs of shoes. And I actually love mine and wear mine and work out in them. And they're actually kind of stylish for,
I was gonna
barefoot
say,
shoes.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's my first check. I'm like, would I actually rock these more than once? Are they stylish enough?
Yeah.
that I can wear them out and not feel shame.
Yeah. They feel really stable. So I especially when I deadlift heavy, I want my feet as close to the ground as possible. Powerlifters understand this. You get better leverage, better positioning. And you also want the problem with traditional shoes, and this is the argument that a lot of these minimalist shoe companies make, and it's true, is that they smash your toes
Yes,
together.
They do.
They have a very
push everything in.
pointed
Yeah.
shoe box and a toe box, and you want your toes to spread out a little. So when I deadlift, I take my shoes off. You guys see me, and I plant my feet and I try to spread my toes, and I push harder. I'm more stable.
Yeah, you can do that in these shoes.
You can do that in these
Yeah,
shoes.
these shoes have got a really wide toe box,
Yep.
and they're and you feel like it. I feel like I'm almost on barefoot. Like
Yep.
that's how close I feel to the ground. So, yeah, no, I wore mine yesterday all day too. Actually, at Mother's Day, my brothers were like, "What are those?" I'm like, "Oh, there's this."
Oh,
thing
you wore
called-"
them for?
Yeah, I did. I just have. I mean, they're comfortable. We were with family and stuff like that, and like I said, they're stylish enough that you would catch me even outside the gym, which is particular I am about shoes. So yeah, no, I love them. I'm excited.
In the 90s and early 2000s, pro basketball players wore high tops, right? Especially in the 90s.
Yeah.
Because the thought was support the ankle as much as possible, keep it real tight so you don't twist your ankle and you can perform better. And that's what they wore. Now they wear low-rise shoes, no ankle support because you want your ankles to strengthen and you want mobility is what you want. You don't want to wear like a cast.
Yeah.
So it's the opposite of what you would have thought.
So one of the cool things to introduce to our audience that they're doing actually, and so you can go to, and Doug will probably share, you guys will share the URL at the beginning of the show, but you can win a free pair. So go to their website and enter in to win.
It's xeroshoes.com/mind pump. Zero spelled with an X. So Xero.
Yeah. So
And then you can enter
go
one.
win your self purchase. But they have all kinds of stuff too. I saw that they have hiking shoes. I haven't tried the hiking shoes yet, but they have some.
Yeah.
So they've got more than just like your workout shoes and all kinds of different colors and styles. So
Doug, are we allowed to talk about? I see you put it in the notes there. Are we allowed to talk about the new?
It's live.
Oh,
It's live.
Wonderful. So new MAPS program, Muscle Mommy. We did an episode titled Muscle Mommy, How to Become a Muscle Mommy. It went crazy.
Yeah.
The amount of women that were interested in like building muscle, reverse dieting, speeding up my metabolism, sculpting my body. I hate hearing the old message of I got to be small, I got to be skinny, eat less.
This is one of those terms that's almost like a bat signal.
Yes, yes.
Like women really responded to that.
So that's what this program is. It's for women who want to sculpt, build, who want to speed up their metabolism. And in the program, it has lifestyle tips, hacks, balancing hormones, working with reverse dieting, and then the strength training program
pelvic floor stuff,
pelvic floor exercises,
there's bonuses that we have with it.
Yeah,
this is
dude.
cool.
This is a very exciting program.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to hear about. I think that
And it's the first program that we said, women. You know what I mean? Or
we're just focusing purely on women.
So
for
we'll
this.
see.
that's why I'm most interested to see how this performs. Just from a business standpoint, I'm curious to like how many of our listeners want. I felt like that's what people wanted, and because we've never done that in the past, we've always done like kind of general. This is generally for everybody. And obviously anybody could follow the lifting portion of it, but we a lot of the lifestyle, diet, hormone conversation, all the pelvic floor stuff.
And the
a lot of
workout
that's
itself,
obviously
That's where the
specific.
differences come in.
And the workout's also geared more towards what women tend to ask us for.
Yeah.
Which is like more
Hamstrings,
glute work, more
glutes.
hamstring, exactly.
Yeah.
Sculpting my body in a particular way. So you know, Adam really contributed his bikini and physique, training experience because he trained competitors and what they would look for to get the physique they were looking for. So
Yeah, I'm pumped to see how our audience receives this.
We'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah.
Anyway, Doug, I was going to show you this earlier, but I saw this post on social media. So I think it's common knowledge now that birth rates are just crashing across the modern world, which is not a good thing. This is actually existential crisis type stuff. Like if the birth rates continue to decline the way that they are, society as we know it will have to completely shift. Otherwise, we won't be able to support the aging population. But so Japan's got one of the worst, right? Maybe Doug, you could look up Japan's like population crash or declining birth rate. I guess real estate prices in some areas are just plummeting because the population is crashing.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. So
Is that something that takes much longer for us to feel the fallout of that? Like we
they've had a shrinking population now for a while.
Oh, they have.
They're one of the worst ones in the world.
It's interesting to me because I feel like after every single war, every like crisis that like humanity goes through, like we just went through this pandemic crisis, you'd think that there'd be like this surge of babies.
Mm-hmm.
but it's not the case.
No, and I think it's
I didn't. So Japan is. I thought China was like the worst with that.
well, China
'Cause
had a
actually
law.
they had a law, and you
Yeah.
couldn't have
Yeah.
more than one kid.
Yep. But Japan's. I don't know. Did you find it, Doug, to see what they're?
Yeah, so the number of babies born in Japan has fallen for the past 8 years.
Okay.
It was down below, I believe, 500,000, which is the lowest it's been since like 90 years ago.
What's the replacement
So how's
rate?
that-
Isn't it like 2.1 births or 2.2 births or something like that per? I forgot what it was, and because then you can look at the numbers of
But
different.
so how's that possible? If it's only been 8 years, how are we feeling?
It compounds. It compounds really fast. So when you have less people having kids, you have less people wanting bigger houses, less people wanting bigger cars, and then as those kids grow up, then you end up in a situation where you can't replace no matter what you do.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I just think that wouldn't that take about 18 years for that to like happen? Like for someone to come up into adulthood, like
I
for
know-
us to feel the difference. Right
I
now.
know that their population growth was slower than a lot of other countries for a while. So I think in 8 years is just where it was declining, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know. What's that replacement rate, Doug?
I'm taking a look at it right now. I have a graph I'm going to pull up here.
Yeah.
But
say 2.25 or something like
It was
that.
like 2.2.
yeah, I'm not sure what the rate is, but since like 2010, even a bit before that in Japan, it's been negative. So there's more people dying than being born.
Okay, so
That's the
it's-
problem.
That's
what it is.
Yeah. And you go down that for a little while, you can't replace it no matter what. I mean,
and that's
people
since
would have to have,
2010.
like,
That's a
10
long.
kids.
That's a long time. That's 14 years.
And
So-
South Korea is taking the same direction as well.
Yeah. I know Italy is not doing well either. And some countries, what country is it? I want to say Poland, where if you have like 2 kids, you stop paying taxes, or 3 kids or something like that. Like they make
they
it super,
incentivize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of that. That's Poland.
I think it's Poland.
They
if I'm not mistaken.
they reverse incentivize it. The more kids you have, the less you get, or
You know, less taxes. You
less
pay.
taxes. So like a parent, like a person who has 3 kids. I don't remember what the number was, but it's like if you have this many kids, you don't pay no taxes.
Yeah.
no taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
yeah.
Because I say we incentivize here. It's that way. So the more kids you have, the better tax break that you get.
Yeah.
Even on the
Yes,
other
it's
side,
not that
welfare side, for
substantial.
every kid that you
Yeah.
have, if you can't afford,
Yep.
the government assists. So
Well, we are at the cusp of going below replacement rates here in the U.S., but our immigration's so high. That's what makes us make up the difference. Is that we have so many immigrants.
a lot.
Yeah, but we're still like we're at the bare minimum. of
Really,
what-
even with all the immigrants.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, yeah. So
That feels off.
isn't it? It's again. We just talked earlier in this episode about how the media lies. Like
I
everybody
know,
would think, oh, it's too many people on the earth or whatever.
Oh yeah. no.
It's actually the opposite problem in most countries, that they're facing a crisis where the governments can't figure out how to fix it because we're not having enough kids.
Well, and that's like one of those things that is going to be long and painful because it just gets worse and worse and worse. Like they're probably not even really seeing. I mean, maybe a little bit of the economic effects, but the economic effects will get worse. There's less people to buy homes. That'll drive that down. Less people to buy cars. Less people.
and nobody to take care of the aging
Less
population.
people to work. Less people to take care of the aging
Yeah.
population. Like, yeah, no, that just.
Yeah, I think if you look up like the average age in Japan, I think that'll tell you a lot too, because they have a very aging population where you just don't see. What does that say there, Doug? Oh,
So
is it Hungary?
Hungary is canceling income tax for new moms in their 20s.
Another one.
All right.
Yeah, dude, maybe we should go there. Huh? Do I get money? I got
Hungry
4
for
kids.
it.
Maybe I go so far, I can just keep making, end up making more money. I don't know.
Doug, what's the advertisement for the pills, or what is that on their right side? What is that advertisement hitting?
I don't know, new chapter?
No, not the. I don't care what the brand. What is it? What is it? What are they-
I'm trying to scroll up. It's one of these websites that you can't have any control
You
over.
trying to see what Doug's getting advertised?
Yeah, I'm just. Well, I was actually curious because it looks like it's like a trizepatide bottle.
No, it's
Oh,
an
no,
omega
that's a
7.
supplement.
It's
That's
a supplement. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I recognize that supplement.
Oh, you do.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just. It's crazy how many, like how popular semaglutide is getting, dude. It's
Do you know my 14-year-old made a
Yeah.
joke, an Ozempic joke? She knows what they are.
really.
It's hitting the mainstream.
It's like a.
I'm like, how do you know what that is? She's like, oh, I think people take it. to
It's
lose
like the
weight.
news. It's like the new slide or joke or like
Oh.
capping on somebody. If somebody's like lost weight, like, oh, did you use Ozempic? It's like you cheated, right?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like that. It's like the super jack guy if he's got a bunch of muscles.
I've
It's
been-
like,
I've been-
steroids.
I've been diving into the research on, and I'm not going to say too much yet because I'm just reading, but there's a lot there. We talked to Dr. Tina, and that episode will air later, but she highlighted some stuff. She sent me a Google file with all these studies that she's compiled and saved. And it's pretty wild, the potential for these peptides on autoimmune issues. They're muscle sparing. So it may actually be, now you'll lose muscle no matter what if your calories are too low, but there may be an effect that may be pro muscle health at lower doses, which is wild. The behavioral effects, there's studies on those that are coming out now. It's really interesting.
So
I'm fascinated.
That makes me happy because today I hopped back on. So I've been off for a little over 2 weeks. And
why is your appetite getting?
Oh yeah, it came. It's like roaring back. So it's definitely. It took about a solid week. Right away though, within a week, I started to feel it increasing, and then by week 2 of nothing, it was like back. Yeah, and back to cravings, everything too. So it's like it's not like. So, I mean, this is going to be interesting because, I was sharing this with Katrina and my family and stuff like that because I have family that are getting ready to use it. And I'm like, of course, it's not the miracle drug by any means. And if you don't work on the behaviors, you're not aware of like your new way of eating, and it just slows your metabolism, and you get back off, and it doesn't take long for that to ramp back up. And if you don't have the discipline, now what I think is like, man, it's easy. Like we've talked about this before. Like one of the neatest things about competing and dieting at that high of a level was after I'd done it for a few months, it actually is like the temptation to go outside of that is actually really, really, really small. It's like you've built these, it's always the beginning, like when you first start to diet and like you still have the cravings and the pull towards that.
That's true.
Then as you start to catch momentum and consistency and rhythm, you start to connect the dots, like how you're feeling better and your stomach feels better, you sleep better, your energy's better. And then there's like this like pull to like stay on track and keep eating well. And so if you don't pay attention to all that, then you come off of this thing at your body's new adapted level of caloric intake. Boy, you're going to balloon right back up.
Well, it'll be no different than the yo-yo dieting.
Yes.
Maybe a little different because GLP-1s have other actions, but it's not great. Like you've slowed your metabolism down and then you start eating like you did before. You're not going to gain back a bunch of muscle. You'll probably just gain back more body fat. So it could set you into a not so good spin. Or cycle.
Yes. And
you got to have a coach. That's what I think. I think if you're going to be on a GLP-1, work with a coach, work with a trainer and a coach, and then you have everything you need for pretty good odds of success. Without a coach, I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, we'll see. I just started last week, so I haven't really noticed much for the appetite suppressing effects, but have definitely noticed like when I eat something that has a bit of what normally would inflame me is like substantial.
Really?
Like, response. Oh man,
interesting.
It's powerful. Yeah.
Huh.
So I've been tripping out on that, and then overall, I guess my calorie consumption's gone down a bit, but I'm paying attention to that. But I don't feel like this like lack of hunger.
Well, I'm testing the microdose like Dr. Tina talked about, and I'll let you guys know what I think about that. I don't think I have any appetite suppression, maybe a tiny bit. I was getting really good pumps in the gym the other week, and so that tripped me out. And so there seems to be it improves the amino acid and glycogen or glucose disposal in the muscle. So, but it's only been a couple weeks, so I'll let everybody know.
I have a question for you, not to completely shift gears, because we're talking about. We were hanging out with the Trizepatide. The hanging out with the
Shoes cool.
The Transcend, not Trizepatide, Transcend. That was the Transcend team and company, right? We were out there visiting them in Michigan, and they were telling me about this supplement. It's hydrogen pills.
Yeah.
And you take it, you drop it. Yeah. You drop it in water, and then it like.
I've seen that, but I don't.
Do you know anything?
No.
You know anything about it?
What's it supposed to do? Hyperoxygenate your system?
Like basically nitric oxide into your blood, and you're supposed to have the most amazing pumps you've ever
Really?
had. Yes.
I mean, that's all you got to say to me.
I was super. I thought maybe you would already know. Can you look it up, Doug? I thought for sure.
I've seen them.
You have?
Yeah, I've seen them before.
So
I think there's different kinds.
Yeah, this is like pharmaceutical grade. So
this is something different.
Yeah.
Oh.
I've seen the little tablets you drop in the water and they fizz.
Yeah.
I think this is totally different.
Oh, okay.
In fact, the manufacturing process is very sensitive. how they do that.
Yeah, he did say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did
Oh,
say
I
that.
want to
like-
try that.
Yeah, it sounded super interesting.
I'm
I
down.
thought for sure maybe you'd read up on it already.
No.
Maybe Doug can look it up and see what
Do they offer it?
they're going to be.
Oh.
That synapsin's good though. I've been on that for a few days now.
You said you
Actually, a
noticed
few
that, right?
weeks,
I
yeah.
ordered it because of you saying that. So I've got mine
It's
on
best.
the way.
What is it? It's basically NAD and B3 to the brain, right? Crosses
Right.
the blood-brain
Yeah.
barrier.
Different feel. Like obviously it's like getting some kind of different nutrients.
Do you
in.
notice it like right away?
Within like 10, 15 minutes.
What does it feel like?
I mean, I just feel clearer. Like I just
Really?
feel more sharp.
Is it the same as C-Max though? I feel like that's kind of similar to C-Max.
It's similar, but it's a different. I don't know how to just.
Oh, it is
articulate
different.
It.
So
It's
it
a
is-
different feeling.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. You just mess around with it. Let me know. But
Yeah, no,
it's-
I got mine on the way, so I'll tell you what he was telling me when I was meeting with him. Like he was talking all about it. I'm like, oh, that's funny because Justin just took it and said he loved it. So I can't remember why he was telling me it was so amazing, but he was all about it.
I'm hitting my brain from all
Oh
angles.
yeah, Dr.
dude.
McCullough has a
Yeah, but they're not the.
They're not the same,
They're
no.
not the pharmaceutical ones.
No, the way he described it, they're like totally different.
Okay.
yeah, he said that this is like BS right here, the ones that people sell right now. So I don't know what the
Well,
difference.
bro, you got me psyched. You said pump, so now I'm. now I'm gonna
Yeah.
try it.
Well, it sounded like it too. I was just like, oh,
crazy
that sounds
pumps.
like a super dose of nitric oxide in your blood. And they're like, yeah, that's exactly what's going on.
Wild.
Yeah.
I'll give that a shot.
Mhm.
All right, so let's do the shout out. We'll shout out Muscle Mommy since it's a brand new program. If you're interested, it's mapsmusclemommy.com, and then the code is MM80. That'll get you $80 off. And then there's 2 ebooks that come with it that are free. Mike Matthews actually hooked us up. It's the Thinner, Leaner, Stronger book and the Little Black Book of Workout Motivation. You'll get those for free with that code. But again, Muscle Mommy, so it's mapsmusclemommy.com. This is for women who want to speed up their metabolism, sculpt their body, build their body, shape it. There's a special emphasis on glutes and hamstrings and delts. It's a different program than
That's
we've ever
right.
done.
We're here for all you hot mamas.
Do it.
LMNT is an electrolyte powder with no artificial sweeteners that has the right amount of sodium to fuel your workouts, give you better pumps, make you feel great, especially if you eat a healthy diet. Look, a lot of people don't realize this, but if you don't eat a lot of heavily processed foods and you work out, you probably, almost definitely need more electrolytes, especially sodium. LMNT does this. And if you go through our link, drinklmnt.com/mindpump, you'll get a free sample pack with any order. And if you're an insider, you have first access to their new LMNT Sparkling. This is in a can. It's bubbly. It's delicious. Go check it out. Again, it's drinklmnt.com/mindpump. All right, here comes the rest of the show.
Our first caller is Matthew from Missouri.
What's up, Matthew? How can we help you?
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Good.
Good, man.
Great. How can we help you?
So my question is, yeah, it's kind of simple, but worth asking. I recently picked up MAPS Performance Advanced, and I've been doing a lot of the grip strength exercises. And one of them I've really enjoyed is the pinch grip carries. And I have a variety of your programs, and every time I see a carry programmed, it's always. So I was wondering, is there a difference between doing the slow and upright way versus the faster strongman style way?
All right, let me re-say that for you, Matthew, because you cut out a little bit. So your question is doing fireman carries and pinch grip, or grip style strength training that oftentimes you'll see us demonstrate it with a kind of controlled isometric hold. And other times, like in strongman or map strong, you'll see it be challenged in a more explosive fashion. And your question is, what's the difference between the two? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So strength can be expressed in a number of different ways. You can have isometric strength, which is the kind that just holds, right? A muscle just contracts. Then you can have the kind of strength to actually crush with your hand. So that's more of a
Functional strength.
functional, concentric. There's eccentric strength, the ability to release my grip, but with tension. And all three of them, although they contribute to each other, you can train and strengthen all three of them individually. And then explosive would be more of a peak output of challenging the grip without the grip failing. Now, the controlled carries are going to work more on that stamina strength, the kind of strength that is
Isometric.
required, where you need to hold on to something for long periods of time. And that seems to be, functionally speaking,
Probably the most valuable.
yeah, I would say.
Also keep in mind, like when we did strongman, the thought process behind that is that they have to do stuff for time.
That's right.
So like it's
competition.
Yeah, so there's more value to that. Like you in a strongman competition, you're being timed to carry these things,
Right.
and so we're trying to simulate that to a certain point.
Yeah.
Also,
Now I can see the explosive applications in certain sports that involve throwing, or sports like judo. When I was a kid and I did judo, the grip strength of the top judo guys it was insane, because they were so explosive and they'd pull so fast and so hard, and their grips needed to hold on to that explosive movement, versus the jiu-jitsu guys where it was much more of a static type of a grip, longer hold type of style. So both of them are valuable. Both of them are going to develop this kind of wide range of, grip strength, overall type of grip strength. And you really can't go wrong with one or the other. It's more specific when you have a specific sport that you're training for, or something you're looking for specific. Is that the case with you, Matthew? Do you have something you're training for specifically, or are you just looking to build overall grip strength?
Overall grip strength.
Yeah, then you would do both.
Kind of getting that construction worker grip.
Oh yeah. Construction worker grip is all of the above. I mean, if you swing a hammer, or you're using a shovel, there's some explosive component there. Carrying thing. I mean,
heavy buckets, and you got to do it quickly. Yeah. So I would say like the valuable one first is to go controlled.
Yes.
Just to make sure that you have that kind of stamina and you have that kind of control, and be able to sustain like that kind of strength for a allotted amount of time, and then the next progression of that, I would then, if you're going to go repeat this again or like run the program again, I would do it a little bit more emphasis on the acceleration.
Yeah, totally. But they're all valuable. I would work on all of them. The only time I would be more specific would be if I was working with an athlete where the type of grip that they needed was much more specific. But what you're going to get by working on strength, stamina, and hold, I think is going to be the most wide ranging, because when it comes to grip, I mean, crushing grip strength is important for some things, but typically across the board, your ability to hold on is typically what's most important, because the movement is typically not coming from the crushing part of your
It's
grip.
the most translatable.
Yeah, but rather holding on to things while you rotate, turn, pull, twist, whatever. So that's typically where we'll start, and probably a majority of the training would be around there.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it,
good
man.
question, Matt.
Good question.
Thank you guys for your time.
Appreciate the
All
energy.
Okay, bye.
All right.
Did you say I appreciate the energy?
Yeah, it's like,
Poor
why are you so
kid.
sad?
Poor kid.
Yeah.
Good question though. Very good question.
It is. And a lot of people don't realize just how much
Brilliance there is into programming.
just how much carryover
a little bit.
a strong grip will have into your whole workout, everything.
Yeah.
Pressing.
Yeah.
You'll notice if you have a strong grip, you'll notice you could press more.
Yeah.
Of course, pull more. It just translates because your hands are what connect you to the world. And it's just one of those things where, and in the real world, I mean, I remember as grappling, you would go against guys who obviously had strong arms and backs, but it was the guys with the grip that you would fear. You would feel
it makes a huge difference when you're especially with deadlifting, big movements like that. Like I even noticed the difference when I started barefoot training and the translation of that into squats.
Yeah,
it's like
your feet are strong.
Yeah, you would not think of that. I mean, I know there's some obvious. You're like, oh, okay, of course, because it's what connects you there.
Yeah,
but
those are your 2 points of contact: your hands, your feet. And I think we overlook that a lot because we get involved in these big movements when, in fact, like holding something, the ability to hold something for a long period of time with strength and control is such a valuable asset.
Well, and a good example, anybody who's ever tried to do like seated rows or even bent over rows with just your hands and then strap up, like how much easier it becomes just being able to not have to think about the grip.
10% increase in strength just like that.
Just right away, which is why people appeal to it so much. But man, if you can train that in your hands,
it's amazing. And even in pressing, you'll even see heavy bench pressers sometimes use similar things like wrist straps for a press. And you think, what does a wrist strap have to do with a press? It makes the grip tight and it straightens the wrist and makes everything real strong. And then they can press.
It's just one less place that you're going to get power leakage.
Yeah.
Otherwise you leak out power a little bit there.
Totally.
Our next caller is Steve from Ohio.
Steve, what's happening?
How you doing,
How
Steve?
can we help you?
Much. Hey, how you guys doing? Appreciate you taking my call.
You got it.
I am 53. I've been working out since I've been 14. I've tried a little bit of everything along the way. And I wanted to get your thoughts on what I can do to, I don't want to say slim down, but get smaller. So I sent some measurements in my letter, and I've just always, I lifted for football. I was a football player. I've never been able to lose that size. So, as you guys may have dealt with in your life, very hard to buy clothes, certainly not buying them off the rack. My calves are 18 inches. My neck is 19. I've tried a little bit of everything, I would say, except just full distance running. So interval training, high rep, low weight. Currently, I'm doing progressive overloads. I don't know the official name, but my best response typically is start out like 10 reps, add weight, get down to about 6, and then go back up. Focus on Olympic lifts, but I just always kind of bulk up and get it very big, and I don't want to. And it's not horrible, except I start to see pictures next to family and friends, and it's just pretty amazing how much broader and stuff I am. And I'm a golfer now, and it doesn't work well for my lifestyle.
Okay, good question, Steve. Yeah. Do you have any chance, by any chance, to know what your body fat percentage is sitting at? Because that'll really help with my answer.
I've never done it. I did a test one time, and the doctor said that my optimal weight, I don't know if it works right, should be about 190 pounds. I don't remember how we got there. I am 5'9", 250. I don't feel like I'm overly heavy. Most people would say I'm lighter than I look, so I'm very thick. And that's kind of my deal. Like if, and it's nothing for me to get back to my peak strength in like 2 months. If I really go at it, I can hit my youth max bench, squat, deadlift very quickly.
Wow. That's great. I body fat percentage would help a lot. So when they give you a target weight, they're basing it off of BMI, which you could throw out the window, especially if you're heavily muscled or an athlete. It puts you in the obese category. And it's stupid. Yep. It doesn't make any sense.
I can tell you're built. You have a body to build muscles, so you probably even 225, 230 would probably look way.
Yeah, you probably, if you want a healthy body fat, and you're not looking, it doesn't sound like you want to get shredded or anything, but you want a healthy body fat percentage. You want to aim for about 15, 16%. Yep. And so I would get a body fat test. You could do underwater weighing would be the most accurate. And there's a lot of mobile places that'll do that. You could do calipers as well. I wouldn't do electronic impedance because that one can be thrown off quite a bit by water intake and stuff like that. But even a DEXA scan would be okay. But see where your body fat percentage is at, and then you can figure out how much weight you need to lose to get to, let's say, 15, 16% body fat, which is a good, healthy, fit body fat percentage. And most men are happy right around there. And then from there, really it's just a matter of, we got to put you in a calorie deficit and we got to figure out what your maintenance calories are and then bring them down. And I see that you hit about half of your body weight in protein. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I've really done a good job cutting out processed foods. I'm not like a potato chip guy or anything. A lot of protein. What I find though is I get really full on protein and then I don't hit my calories. So if I load up and have steak and eggs in the morning, I'm not hungry again. Yeah. And then I'm falling way short of my protein needs. And one of the things I wanted to ask you is hey, just do it, force yourself. And is that something I should do? Or is it, if you're not hungry and you're eating right, don't eat?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of both. So aim for your target body weight in grams of protein. So if 250 is not your target body weight, I wouldn't aim for 250. I would look at
probably 220, 200.
Yeah, maybe 200 grams of protein is what I would aim for. I would eat it first, and then allow your appetite to dictate the rest. Stay away from processed foods, and you'll find yourself get leaner. And that's the point. That's why it's so important to hit that protein.
I also would, because you sound like you can hang on to size well. It sounds like you could build your strength pretty quick. You have kind of like that mesomorph body type where I think you can build muscle well. You're the type of person that if we are in this situation where you don't want to eat anymore, I would just tell you not to eat, because even if someone like you lost a couple of pounds of muscle, I think it would be very easy for us to get it back. And we're trying to get you down, right? So you're trying to come down in size. So I would always eat protein first. I would always try and hit my target. But if you're sitting at the end of the night, like, oh man, I'm behind 30, 40 grams of protein and I'm not hungry, I would say, don't eat.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. Because of our goal, because of your body type, because of your history, even though you hear us on the show preach all the time about you got to hit your protein intake, you got to hit your, yeah, well, that's, somebody who's holds on to as much muscle mass as you do. I'm not as concerned if you lose a few pounds. Have you been listening to my journey with Trizepatide? I don't know if you've been listening currently, me sharing my whole journey with that.
I've not heard that. I've been listening to all the other ones, but I haven't been able to. Time runs out.
So no, don't worry about it. I'll catch you up fast. I've been on Trizepatide for 7 weeks now, and I've lost a little over 20 pounds. And I know I've lost some muscle, but I've built so much muscle over time that comes right back if I want it. I'm like you. I was wanting to get down size. I really think that my body feels healthier. I want to get back to basketball. And so I'm just allowing the weight come down. And so I have to make the same decision. There's times where just the other night I'm very low calorie. I was only about 2,300 calories and I was still behind, 40 grams of protein. And I said, I could force the food to get it, but it's like, I'm trying to get down in size. I'm going to miss.
I think, Steve, if you tried to eat 4 meals a day with 50 grams of protein in each meal from whole natural foods, ate it first, and after the third meal, if you're like, man, I don't want to eat that fourth meal, I think you'd be fine.
Yes.
But if you ate that fourth meal, you'd be okay as well. But the protein in the whole natural foods and hitting it first is going to bring your calories down. That's the point. And you will get leaner. And because protein is so muscle sparing, because I know you want to get smaller, but I'd like to see how happy you are at the body fat percentage, between 14 and 16%. You might be happy there and be like, I don't want to lose any more size. I feel really good.
This is less about the training, and I know that was like the thought first. It's like I need to switch it all up and get
your
into more
training's
circuit
good.
training, all this. Yeah, whatever you're doing for building muscles, it's going to apply best in this situation. Really, it's the nutrition we want to adjust.
Totally.
What have you ever, Steve? Do you track your daily steps by chance? Do you have any idea how much you move every day?
I do not. My job is fairly sedentary. My cardio typically is like interval training on the treadmill. Mm-hmm. So I'll walk, run. I can do that all day. I got to be honest, the long distance running is a little atrocious, but I'm forcing myself to get into that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want you to do that anyways,
no,
but I will say this, since we're getting you to do your body fat test and do some tracking, get a tool that tracks your steps. You don't need anything overly sophisticated, just something basic that will track your steps, that's consistent, and use that as a nice gauge to just see where you're at. Don't do anything out of the ordinary. See where you're currently at. And then as you progress through your program and working out, make small incremental increases in steps. And just by adding little walks too. I'm not talking about anything 10-minute walk here, 20-minute walk there. Just being cognizant of how many steps you're taking daily will really help, because what you might find is you because you have a desk job, you kind of have this kind of sedentary, and then maybe you have one day where you do really good in steps and moving a lot, and then you go right back down. And just by you making a conscious effort to be more active throughout the day, every day, even if it's a little bit of, a few thousand steps more a day, it'll make an impact on coming down in size too.
Yeah, but this feels like a very simple answer though, really. Again, if you were my client, I would test your body fat and I'd say, okay, you're 250, I don't know, let's say 20% body fat. So this is how many pounds of body fat you have in your body. If we got you down to 15% without losing any muscle, what would your body weight be at? And I would do the math and I'd say, okay, this is what we're going to aim for. And then I would do exactly what we just recommended, and it would get there. It would get there in a nice, even, consistent, slow, but nice, measurable pace. You just have to be really, really consistent with it, because your body likes to sit. It sounds like it likes to sit kind of where you're at.
Do you have any of our programs, Steve? Are you running any of ours?
No, I was actually looking at all of them, and until I got some answers, because I've tried so much over my life, I'm like, I don't want to just throw money at the wall, and was just curious. I mean, I'm happy to do it. I just don't know which one's going to work.
No. We'll hook you up with something. I think performance. What do you think?
Yeah.
MAPS Performance?
Yep.
Yeah, I think MAPS Performance would do you really well. So I'll have Doug.
Do you guys have any
Go ahead.
recos on reps and weight? And
It's in there.
It's all in there.
No max out, but I'm just kind of curious. I'm always nervous. Am I lifting? Am I too much weight? And my body responds really well to a lot of volume. So I'm nervous about if I'm lifting the right way.
So the program, and this makes me feel even stronger about recommending this program. So we're sending you MAPS Performance, and what I tell clients when they go through this program, because it's performance based, because we're challenging you in different planes, there's unilateral work. I put all my emphasis on the form and technique here. I would much rather, even if you're like, oh, I could do 50 more pounds easily here, I would say slow the rep down, make it prettier. Like I would tell, when you're following this type of a program, I want all the emphasis to be put on the technique and making every rep look as like, because you're a golf guy, you get this. Like approach your lifts in this program
with technique,
like you're approaching your swing, swinging your iron.
Mastering the skill, the exercise.
Yes, master the skill, the exercise over. Oh man, I know I could hit this further. I know I could put more weight on here. Approach it like the way you play golf, and it'll serve you better.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Been listening to a lot of your shows.
Follow back up with us too, Steve. I'd like to hear how it goes for you. So after you've been through a couple months, hit us back up.
What do you think? Like 2 months? Give it.
Yeah.
Go through the whole program. It'll take you
go through. In fact, are you on Facebook? Can we set you up with a forum so we can actually check up on you?
I will send you. I don't do any social media, but I'll send you some results.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just update us. Send the email that you sent, and then keep us posted, and let us know at least every month or two. Let us know.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Steve.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Yeah, he's got the.
You can tell he's a
athlete kind of muscle building.
Bro, he's his neck, his wrist, his cat. Like
But he's guessing. He's guessing with the food, right? Because we don't know. We don't know. Where
I have a pretty good idea what's going on. I mean, I think he's.
Me too, but you know what I mean. Like he's saying, I can't go down, but we don't know.
I think he has a very sedentary day. And I think simply moving more.
He's still strong.
And then also giving yourself that freedom to not eat sometimes. I know it really, this is why it matters who we're talking to. Okay. Mm-hmm. There's other body types where if they are missing the protein intake every day,
not a good idea.
Just muscle comes off and just they get stuck in. Yeah. But a guy like that who it looks like he's solid and easily can put muscle, hangs on to muscle. Yep. I'm less worried about if he has a couple days where we miss our protein. In fact, I'd rather him if he feels satisfied calorie wise. Yeah. Hey, go ahead and not eat.
It's a natural calorie limiter.
Yes.
Yeah. Our next caller is Jesse from New Jersey.
What's up, Jesse?
How can we help you?
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. This is surreal seeing you guys all here. I listen to you guys every day.
Awesome.
Right on.
How can we help you?
So I'm a personal trainer and a nutrition coach, and I have, I guess, a two-part question. I guess I'll just read off so I don't go off track. But so I had a client for about 6-7 months now. She was really under eating, and she was at like 1,000 calories or so. She's, just for context, she's 55 years old. Does about 5,000 steps a day. She was strength training a little here and there before, she came on to me. But long story short, she started around like 1,100 calories, slowly brought her up through the reverse diet, did that, took a couple of months, went nice and slow because she was very fearful of eating more food. But I told her, trust the process. We need you to have more nutrients, more food, more protein, all that good stuff. So for the past, 6 months, she's been following it to a T, plugging everything in through my Excel sheet. I've been able to watch her track even through Chronometer as well. We eventually got up to like 2,000, 2,100 calories, and she couldn't eat anymore. It was stressing her out. So I'm like, all right, let's stop that. And let's kind of bring you down a little bit because I don't want you stressing out. She's like, I feel like I'm too full, whatever. We got to that point. So we started to slowly bring her down. And I think her TDE is around 1,900, 2,000 anyway. So I was glad we got her a little bit above there for some wiggle room. And then it looks like, she's at about 165 pounds when she hit that 2,000 calorie mark. We've been slowly decreasing for the past couple of weeks, and the weight really isn't coming off of her body. I kept reiterating that, she's gained a lot of muscle and she's lost a lot of fat during this process, but it doesn't seem like she's fully understanding that process. And just to read you off a text to tell you what I'm dealing with, and discouraging for me as well, because, as coaches, we want to be the best for our clients. We want to see them get results. But it's like, I wish I could say I'm happy. The weight fluctuates. I understand that, but I'm not seeing the fat leave either. It's muscle and fat altogether. We have been decreasing calories for a month or so, and I haven't seen any change in my body or my weight. It all looks the same to me. The clothes are fitting the same way. I am very frustrated. So the first question, I guess, would be, are we on track? How do I keep her on track? And what are we doing in terms of the plan moving forward? Do I keep her on this 1,700 caloric intake. I don't really want to bring her too much lower because we're not going to have too much to work with. And the second part is, what blood work would you recommend if there is a hormonal imbalance or something that I can't even help her with?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, because that was my next question, is if you've done that with her. I would definitely make sure I would do that with her.
I would do that anyway.
Yeah. Have you done body fat tests with her too?
She was very iffy about that because she's been through a bunch of trainers and she just didn't like the whole grasping the part of her fat, and she didn't even let me take pictures. So we pretty much only have the scale to go by, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I would try and encourage her to do like a hydrostatic weigh or something like that, or find her a place that she feels more comfortable with. So especially when you have a client like this that's, and this is why I'd say, listen, normally I wouldn't mind you not doing it, but you're having a really hard time trusting the process going through this, and I want to be able to show you the positive things you're doing, and without having a body fat test, it's very hard for me to break those numbers down. So that's one thing I would communicate. The second would be definitely, a 55-year-old woman that's struggling with this right now, maybe getting her blood work done, a full panel. So you have her go do a full blood work panel. Join in are you in the trainer forum, by the way? Are you with us? Are you not doing that?
No, I'm gonna do the I'm not in the forum, but if you're talking about the
coaching program
that recently put out, I'm gonna do that by the end of the year for sure.
Okay,
I'm gonna
good.
be signing.
Good, because this is the type of stuff that we all talk about in the community, right? Because this is actually very common that a lot of trainers get clients like this, and that's kind of why we built that, is to support each other through this.
Jesse, how long have you been training, coaching people for?
About 4.5, 5 years now.
Okay.
4.5, 5 years.
So what you're encountering right now is the coaching part of your job. Okay. There's a lot there we don't know, and you're going to run into clients like this, and you can't work around it unless you coach her properly. So I don't believe that no changes have happened. She went from 1,000 calories to 2,000 calories. Did she get stronger?
Yeah.
Did she get more energy?
She said she's always feeling tired, and I've asked her those questions before. She said, if anything, a little bit, but she's tough with that.
Yeah. So the reason why this is hard is because you're allowing her to dictate the value of what you're doing with her. So she's telling you, I don't see anything that's happening. Well, you have no retort because all you have is weight on the scale. You don't have a body fat percentage test that you could point to where you could say, objectively speaking, you are wrong. What you're dealing with, what it sounds like you're dealing with, because to me, look, if you went up that much in calories, she didn't get a huge weight gain. Her strength is going up. You're moving in the right direction, but that's not the problem. The problem is she doesn't believe you.
Yeah.
The problem is
power.
The problem is she doesn't trust you. She trusts her own belief system, which is already distorted. We know this. She was on 1,000 calories for a long time. So what you're dealing with is you're trying to argue and debate a distorted viewpoint, and you don't have a lot of tools to work with that. Now, had you had a body fat test that you were tracking along with her, and had you pointed out to things like strength and this, that, and the other, then you would have a better position to stand by. But here's the thing. Here's the bottom line. The bottom line is sometimes you have to be the confident one. So it's okay to tell her, look, I know what you're saying, but I'm going to tell you right now, you're wrong. You need to trust me. We doubled your calories. Your weight on the scale barely changed. You got stronger. If you cut your leg off, the weight's going to go down. Do you want to do that? No, I don't. You need to trust what I'm doing. Now, we could test your blood, and I'm going to tell you right now, here's what I think is going to happen. You're not going to see much with the blood test. I don't think you're going to get a bunch of answers that are going to be like, oh my God, this is the problem. I don't think that's the problem at all. I think what you're dealing with is the typical, I look in the mirror, no matter what happens, if the scale doesn't go down, I don't see any value. I don't see what's going on. Because you could put her on 1,000 calories, she'll lose weight, she'll be happy, even though she feels worse and she's getting weaker. So this is the coaching part of what you do. You can't do what she's asking you to do because it's the wrong thing to do. And this is when you need to have that conversation.
Yeah, and we're definitely in a challenging spot now. But the thing that I want, when I remember I'm helping my coaches, is like, let's talk about how when this happens again, how we avoid this. And this is where I talk about forecasting is so important with a client. And because right away when I get a client, and I'm sure when you assessed her, you kind of probably knew somewhat what you're probably getting into. I mean, I have a pretty good idea after, right? I think
definitely, especially since she said she had a couple of trainers in the past and it didn't really work out with 3 or 4.
Okay. So you kind of knew, right? So let's talk about if we were to do this over again, how we would have started this with her, so that the next time this happens, that you're ahead of this. When a client tells me something like that, and I kind of know she's going to have this personality already, and she doesn't want to do a body fat test, I said, well, let me tell you what's going to happen. what's going to happen is I'm going to slowly get you to increase calories, just what happened, and I'm forecasting it. And then what's going to happen, we're going to go to reverse, or we're going to cut, and you're going to lean out, but it's not going to be fast. It's going to be slow, because what we did was we did a good job of building muscle on your body, and we're changing your body composition, but it's a slow, gradual process. And when you don't see the results fast enough, and your clothes are filled out more because you've built some more muscle and you're holding on to a little bit more water and some things like that are totally natural, totally healthy, it's going to start to mess with your head. Now, if you know that going ahead of time, I'm saying this to her, if you know that going ahead of time and you're okay with that and you can trust me through this process, we're going to be fine. But what I'm telling you is going to happen is you're not going to see something you don't like, or you're going to feel a certain way. And then because we don't have the data or numbers for me to show you that you're doing a really good thing, it's going to really mess with your head. Now, I'm okay with that if you feel like you can handle that, but just know that that's what we're heading into by not doing our body fat test and us pushing up these calories like that. It's gonna be messing with your head.
I don't know this client of yours, but I'm gonna make a guess that she's struggled with weight for a long time. That she's been on and off diets for a long time. She's worked with previous trainers before, and she's fired them for whatever reason, or it didn't work out, right? So I would say to her, look, here's what we know. I don't know what her name is, but I'd say whatever. Let's say it's Susan. Susan, here's what we know.
Brenda.
Here's what we know.
Sounds like
That's
Brenda.
my guess.
You've tried this many times. You've struggled with your weight many times. This is a challenge for you, but not because your body doesn't want to lose weight, but rather you've done it the wrong way many times. When I first got you, you were eating 1,000 calories a day, and you weren't able to lose body fat. So this challenge has nothing to do with our methods. This challenge has everything to do with changing your mind. Now, if you want to continue down this path with me, I'm going to ask you to trust me. You're going to have to blindly trust me. And then the second thing I'm going to ask you to do is take your scale and throw it in the closet or throw it away. You're not going to weigh yourself anymore. And we're going to move forward differently than you moved before, because we know what happens when you do what you've done before. What happens when you've done what you've done before? You fail. Do you want to fail again? No, I don't. Then let's do this the right way. Unfortunately, you have to have one of those conversations right now. But had you done what Adam said, it wouldn't have gotten to this point. But I think if you position yourself right, you may get her back on board, because what you're dealing with is a distorted view, and you're not gonna win that by cutting her calories. Let me put it this way. You're not going to win this with her by showing her what she wants to see on the scale, because that's the temptation for a coach. Temptation is, you know what, I'm just going to cut her calories down to 1,200 so she could see it move down a little bit, and then she'll be okay with it. That'll make everything much worse. It's going to make everything much worse. It's not going to help anything.
Yeah.
So, exactly. And that's what I don't want. That's why when I message you guys, it's like, I know the route we're going, and that's exactly where I don't want to go. You go to a point where you're so low, their quality of life is so down, the energy is going to be lower, no sleep, all that. But I've checked every metric, her sleep, everything I possibly could. So I guess I'm going to keep her. I'm not going to go a little lower than 1,700, right? You stay on track for that a couple of weeks to see how she feels.
So I normally, with someone like this too, like one of the things I do, I will drop her for a week or two just to show her I can move the needle if I want to, and just to build that trust again sometimes. So I'll be like, hey, listen, I could cut you back down to what you were eating. We go right back down 1,000. I guarantee we'll drop pounds in the next couple of weeks. But that's not the goal here, right? And so I might do stuff like that just to show them that we can move the needle if I wanted to. But it's like, what we're doing right now is like to Sal's point, you've failed for so many times because you've done it the wrong way. The right way is when we do this slow, we gradually build muscle, we build strength, we build that metabolism up so that one day I cut you down to 2,000 calories and you drop in weight. And that's very possible.
It's also a snowball effect. You just finished reverse dieting her. It's not like you cut calories and the fat just comes off. There's a bit of a snowball effect. But I tell you what, Jesse, do you think you could get her on with another episode like this? Do you think you could get her on to where we can help coach her with you? Because I would love to have you guys both come on, and then we can talk with her. And I can be, look, I'm not her coach, so I can be real blunt. You can be the nice guy.
Does she know who we are?
I could be the blunt person.
Does she know who we are or no?
Yeah. I don't know. And, also it's funny because I was thinking that I'm like, I wonder if she would, how she would feel if I'm coming on and asking you guys these questions and, putting this out there. But I think she would be, I think she'd be open for pretty much anything, but I can reach out to her and say she's a little bit more private. That's for sure, as you could maybe tell, but I can definitely run it past her. That'd be freaking amazing.
Yeah. Let's do it. If you can, email us back. We'll have you both come on.
Yeah, put her in the hot seat.
Yeah, we'll walk through the whole process for sure.
But but the biggest takeaway for me with this, because this stuff happens, right? And sometimes when you're this deep with a client and when we didn't do things the ideal way, it's tough to get it back, and it turns into this argument or a fight, and then she just wants to blame you, fire you, go to the next guy and do the same thing. So the biggest takeaway when I'm coaching my coaches though is like
Forecast.
This is like
You got to be a prophet.
yeah, learn from this because you're going to get another. This is very common. Like I've trained thousands, thousands exaggerate, hundreds of women that are like this, and so learning to be able to see it before and be able to communicate what you know is probably going to happen.
Yeah, because then when it happens, she's gonna be like, "Oh, he told me this."
Yeah, shit, he told me that. That's right. You know what I'm saying?
He knows what he's talking about.
Something to fall back on. That's a really great idea.
100%.
And a lot of this is, online stuff too. So how would that work if I have a client I really never get to physically meet per se in terms of the body fat? Just tell them to go to a local place.
Go to a local place.
Get a DEXA scan or underwater weigh, and then let me see it.
And the biggest thing with those type of stuff is like just the consistency around it. So even though I don't like the biopedance and the scale ones or whatever like that, like I'm not, but it's better than nothing, right? It's and if she did it at Friday mornings before she ate and did anything every single or every month on Friday, that same time, same everything. Then what we
see trends.
Yeah, we see trends, and that's what we really care about. Like I'm not hung up that she did the scale and the digital scale, and it says she's 40% body fat, and argue whether that's accurate or not. I'm more concerned that she did it at 40 this Friday, and then 4 weeks from now it's now at 37, and we're moving in the right direction, or it went the other way, and so I need to course correct. So. Yeah, I mean, you want to have these tools like this, especially online, especially when you have a client like this, or you have to do a really good job, like Sal alluded to, which is like, you forecast for her and then you tell her things like, you don't get to reuse the scale. You don't just trust me, and I've been doing this
in
for
my experience. People like this, like you're dealing with, if you forecast properly, and then you maintain leadership role with a lot of strength and confidence, it's a relief. She's probably a bit of a control freak. And so when you do this, I've had clients like this before, and I'll forecast, and look, this wouldn't happen. You're going to feel like this. You're going to question me. And then when we get there, I'm very confident. I can be very blunt. And I always notice that they feel relieved, like, oh, I get to let go of this. All right, fine. You do your thing, and I trust you. And then it works.
By the way, Jesse, this was like when we created our coaching program, this was the goal for us, is because we felt that with no national certifications, nutrition stuff out there, this is the gaps I think we were trying to fill, is that this is real shit that you get all the time. How do you communicate this? Yep. And giving you guys the tools and the skill sets to work through these types of challenges. I just felt like we felt nobody was doing that in certifications. And so that was what ours is not a bunch of like deep programming stuff. It's not a bunch of heavy nutrition stuff. Like you get that through all your other national certs. It was this stuff right here. How to have these conversations with your clients to be successful.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I can't wait to get in there. It's on my to-do list. I had a bunch of stuff going on my online training, just my checklist, but that's, one of the next steps. And it's funny because a while ago, I was listening to one of the podcasts with you, and you were asking one of the trainers, do you have a Prime Pro or something? And you asked him, and you're like, I hate it when they do that. So what I did, I bought all of them afterwards. I'm like, if I'm ever on there, they're not coming after me. And now it's funny, you guys have this certification I didn't buy, so I got myself, I do myself. But
you can pay monthly on it too, by the way.
We'll take care of you, Jesse. Yeah. I'm looking forward to see you in there, man. And
all right, brother.
Great question, and hopefully we can get her on here and help you out too.
That'd be great.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right.
I would love that. I would love to have trainers bring their clients on.
I didn't even think about that as a cool option here.
Why not? Trainers, if you want to bring a client on and we can all talk together.
You got to challenge client, or maybe that's something that we start to do in that forum. Maybe that's something that we start to. That would be a really cool thing. Like bring your challenging client monthly.
Yeah,
it's actually kind of a cool idea.
Do a little hot seat.
But I didn't even think. I know what this feels like. We've all had a client like this.
100%.
And then you get here and you're like, what do I do? She doesn't believe me. And then online, you see, when you're in person, at least when you're in person, you'd be like, look, I'm looking at you, and I could tell.
Yeah,
you lost body fat. But like this, it's like, is she telling the truth? Like, what's happening? Why isn't she responding? He's probably questioning himself. Like,
she's probably one of those personalities that just takes over, And it's like if you don't like assert that, and like you have like a very like ironclad plan that you're again forecasting, you're creating the vision, like you're very confident in your delivery.
Totally,
they're going to come in and try and take over.
Totally.
Our next caller is Richard from Canada.
Richard, what's happening?
What's going on, Richard?
How you doing, guys?
Good. How are you,
man?
Great, man. I just have it's kind of a simple question. The question sort of stemmed from myself, but it was more of a general question. The question was, how should someone feel during a cut if they're cutting appropriately, to use your word, Sal? So I gave it a shot a little while ago and did it for about 10 days and I felt like garbage. So I stopped. And so I actually reached out to one of your folks there on your team, Margaret, and we went back and forth to figure out what it might have been. And we were searching through your website, trying to find how someone should feel. We couldn't really find anything specific. So I thought maybe it'd be a question for you guys to discuss.
This is actually, Doug, put this down as a single topic. I like this.
How do you know if you're...
how, I mean, even that just wording it that way.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to feel on a cut? And why I like this, by the way, is because I think there's a lot of misconceptions. One of the ones that I think that there's this idea that you won't feel hungry. You will. But the point that you made about feeling like crap, that's normally an indication that it's too low, right? Like that I'm either cutting too hard, or I'm missing some essential nutrients that my body is trying to tell me it wants and needs. And that could be a whole host of things. Like you could be deficient in something like vitamin D,
or your fat intake might be too low.
or you're not, because that's a good point. So like that's a real common one is people cut fat because that's an easy place to cut calories, but fat is essential. And so especially as a man, you're not getting enough fat, your body will let you know that you're low on fat. So typically the crappy feeling that you might have felt from being cut is your body trying to tell you one of those things, like, okay, it's either way too low or I'm missing something that my body really needs because I've reduced and you cut too much of it out. And let's find a way to because you could easily be not cutting too dramatically low calorie wise, but because like Sal said, you went way low on fat, just by us maybe changing the macro profile a little bit, maybe lower the carbs a little bit, but then give you a little bit more healthy fats that could make a world of a difference.
I mean, in sodium, I felt the difference.
Yeah.
Sodium's a good one. How did you cut your Good intuition there, Justin. When you went on a cut, did you go low carb? What was your deal with that?
So to be honest, I haven't tracked in a while. So all I did was listen. I've run 4 programs from you guys. This is the 4th now. I'm in MAP Strong, and so I added some calories in over the course of time listening to you guys. And so what I tried to do was took your guys' advice, and I've been eating 3 or 4 eggs with last night's protein, mix it all up, and I added salsa. So to cut, I took out the salsa. And for lunch, I have a big ass salad with canned salmon and sardines and oysters and stuff like that. I cut out half the olive oil I put on my salad and half the balsamic vinegar I put on my salad and a few cherry tomatoes. My little treat for myself after lunch is 3 Brazil nuts and 2 pieces of 95% chocolate. I cut out the Brazil nuts and the chocolate, and the avocado I put on my salad. And then for dinner, regular, meat, veg, potato, rice, whatever, and I cut the carbs by half.
Yeah, it's fat, dude.
Yeah.
And calories.
I'll tell you what. Try this. Just try adding some sodium to your diet. I think your diet's pretty low carb anyway, and the little bit of carbs that you were eating, you cut down.
He also cut like all the healthy fats too.
Yeah, he did. Just because this would be an easy solution, if this was the case, go back on your cut, add a couple thousand milligrams of sodium, either in an electrolyte powder. We work with a company called LMNT.
I bought into that. I've got your Element T stuff. I've been trying that here and there, and it seems to, I feel good on it. So
okay. So when you're in your cut,
eat 2 of those. Drink 2 of those a day.
Yeah. So here's how you know here's how you know if it's sodium.
And that will tell you.
You're on your cut and you're like, oh my God, I feel like garbage. What'd you feel like? Just fatigued, brain fog, the whole deal?
Brain fog.
Yeah, I have sore muscles, achy.
Okay. So if that's the case, could be low calories too, but if it's sodium, it's easy because you'll take the sodium, you'll drink a couple packets of those, and within 30 minutes, you'll be like, oh my God, I feel a lot better. Then you know it's a sodium. If it doesn't really impact you and you don't feel better, you're probably cutting your calories too low. The other thing too is that, sometimes you cut your calories and then your training volume is too much for the caloric intake.
Yep.
So sometimes what you got to do is also reduce the volume of your training. Like I can't train with the same volume when I'm in a cut. I need more energy than what I'm taking in.
When you went through, I would love this is also, when we get to this type of stuff, this is where I want to be tracking and really digging in and be able to answer better. Because actually your diet not cutting sounded really good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. In fact, it'd be interesting to see what that is calorie wise, protein wise, because you're not eating bad food. I mean, you're a little bit of.
I eat pretty good food.
Yeah.
Do you know what your calories are? Do you know what your total calories are at before and after?
I'd be guessing. When I was tracking a while ago, it was sort of between 2,700 and 3,000.
Really?
And I probably, if anything, I was probably a hair light on protein. Or probably more of the 150 50 grams of protein rather than the 180 or 190 I probably need.
Okay.
But I eat pretty good in general. I don't eat out much and stuff like that. But part of my challenge is I'm a firefighter too. I'm not sure if you have the email up in front of you or not, but so I know sleep is an issue. I just put my Oura ring back on, and I'm averaging over the last 6 weeks 6.5 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Right. And that's tough.
Yeah.
So why I want to cut. So personally, my pants have gotten tighter around my quads and my butt. Great. But it's also a little tighter around the waist. Shirt's a little tighter around the shoulders and arms, which is great. But again, it's just that little bit of waist that's gone a little bit a hair too much. And so I just want to cut it just a little bit. Just a little bit for vanity, a little bit for the pants to fit right. That's all.
Yeah, no wrong with that. Hey, what's Richard, what program of ours? You said you ran 4 of ours. What are you currently running right now?
So Strong right now. I just finished week 1 of Strong.
So I want you.
Week 1 of phase 3.
I'm gonna have Doug send you Maps 15. That's what I want you to run.
Advanced.
Yep. Maps 15 Advanced for you is a much, especially considering what you just told us about sleep. I think what you're feeling right now, whether it's one of the things we talked about, either low sodium, low healthy fats, or just low calorie all in general, in a combination with training too hard with little sleep. So it's like there's a lot of levers we have to play with here to improve what you got going on here. So one of them would be reducing the intensity and volume of training. Maps 15, I think, is going to serve you very well right away right there. Obviously, we want to work on the sleep as much as we can. And then it's going to be one of those things. Hopefully the sodium would be the easiest fix. And then because I think you're making good food choices.
I'll tell you what, just from the data, okay, I'm going to overgeneralize, but just from the data, when you look at the impact that sleep has on a person's ability to adapt, recover, build strength, muscle. The difference between a consistent 6.5 hour night sleep and 8 hour is probably 50% in terms of your ability to recover, adapt, build muscle, and the like. That's how big of a difference just that 1.5 hour every night makes. It's massive. It makes a huge difference. So if you can't fix that, we got to adjust everything else to meet your 50% of your capacity to recover. So I think Adam is on point with Maps 15. That's the program you should follow unless you can fix your sleep. And then the sodium thing, literally you'll know within 30 minutes to an hour if that's the solution. You'll add it to your water, drink it, do another one, drink it. And then within an hour, you'll know either you feel no different or you'll be like, wow, my brain fog is gone and I feel amazing. Well, then your sodium was probably. And the reason why sodium is a big deal, when your carbs are low and you cut your calories, your body gets rid of water. It just gets rid of water and you lose electrolytes anyway. Yeah. And the side effects of that feel like
massive drop
fatigue, brain fog, just, muscle cramps, of course. Everybody talks about that.
Energy crash hard.
Energy crash. You just feel like shit. You just feel like garbage.
Yeah. My recommendation would be to, first thing when you get going in the day is actually to make one of those LMNT drinks. Just pour it in like your water jug or whatever you're doing for water and sip on that all day. And then do another one when you work out. I think that.
And salt your food, please.
Yep.
I think that.
Okay, good.
I do add a lot of salt to my food, knowing that I don't eat a lot of carbohydrates or hardly any processed food. So I do that.
Yeah, but here's the deal. You eat whole natural foods. For all the stuff you listed was whole natural. You work out, you sweat. I'm sure you sweat when you put on your fire, gear on. You're probably way under consuming sodium for someone like.
That's why I want to.
Because you can salt the hell out of your food, and I've done this. I've added it up, and I'll salt my food, but because I don't eat processed food, it doesn't come out to much. It's not like eating a fast food meal where you're gonna get 3 grams of sodium in your French fries. So it's probably low, but you'll know. It's like I said, you add this to your day, 2 or 3 packets a day, and then you'll know within an hour. Like, oh crap, that made a big difference. But I do think Maps 15 advanced version, I think that's the workout for you. And you'll know because when you follow it, you're just going to get stronger.
Yeah.
And then you'll know, this is the right one.
And trust the process, with us too on that. Because if you like things like performance and strong, which I see you've done, I'm sure you're kind of a go-getter, get after type of personality. It's going to feel like it's a lot less than what you're used to, but it's more appropriate for your body right now. And I think if you trust trust us and trust the process.
Yes.
And I promise it'll serve you. Like you give it just a couple weeks, like 3-4 weeks in it, and you should feel a positive increase.
Totally.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
You got it, man. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate it.
Have a great day. Thank you.
You got it. I got a message a while ago when we first started with Element. The keto flu This belief that if you go low carb, that
It's
my
all
God, you're
sodium,
gonna feel like garbage, and you know, and the reason why you feel like garbage is your metabolic system has to adapt to using ketones, et cetera, and we talked about LMNT, and we're like, it's sodium. And then I had somebody who was like, oh my God, I was in such bad
test that theory.
keto flu, and then she's like, I took a packet of LMNT, and she goes, 30 minutes later, all my symptoms were gone, and I was shocked. And I was like, oh my God, this was the problem.
I've personally had this experience. You know, other people I know have had this experience. It's like kind of like one of those things. It's like, oh yeah, I think of that now because it's definitely a factor.
And everything he mentioned, all his entire meal, all of his meals was low carb, without the cut.
I mean, he was. I really would like to track and see because he's 195 pounds, so he's not.
Yeah, his calories are probably low.
His calories are at that first. His bulk, whatever his maintenance, whatever he calls his.
It seemed low.
Low. A salad for midday with what salmon and something else, like sardines,
avocado, and but still.
Yeah, I mean, and then
all healthy stuff, but the calories were very high.
Yeah, so I think he's dramatically under on that. So and I think he would have been better off. And
the sleep,
and then the sleep. You had that in there while you're totally for sure.
Look, we have a guide. It's a free guide that teaches you how to squat like a pro. I mean, work on mobility, depth, connection, build an incredible squat. It's a free guide, costs nothing. It's how to squat like a pro at mindpumpfree.com. You can also find all of us on social media. On Instagram, Justin is at mindpumpjustin. I'm at mindpumpdestefano, and Adam is at mindpumpadam.